There we go. All right, so we're not going to cover advanced performance tuning techniques this time. We'll touch a memory leak towards the end, but if you're already an expert in Chrome DevTools, then you have a few options. One is to help us all out by giving us your experiences and pointing things out as we go along. Another is to sit there like a bump on the log and do your email. And a third is to leave and go do something else, which wouldn't offend me. Matthew, write down everybody's name who leaves. All right, and then one more thing, no slides. So hopefully this goes well. All right, so we're going to start out super basic, but I promise we'll get better than basic pretty quickly. So Chrome DevTools, built into Chrome and Chrome Canary. A few ways to get in. First way is to inspect an element, right-click, inspect element. There's your Chrome DevTools at the bottom. Second way is keyboard shortcut on a Mac. It's Command-Option-I. Back in, what's the third way? I forgot.
In Windows, it's F12.
Is it F12? Thank you.
You only need one key to get it done.
Yeah. Okay. One key for Windows, guys.
Anything
Okay.
that makes working on a Windows machine better.
Isn't Command-Option-J also the console as well?
I think it is. Let's see.
Can the Windows one do that? What's the hot key
Okay, go to. All right, and then the other one's just in the menu. More tools, developer tools. Okay, so we're in. Basic layout. We've got, by default, you're in a panel or set of panels at the bottom. And you got a little button here to change that. You can go, it's kind of a 2-way / 3-way toggle. So you can go to the side, and then you toggle back and forth. Or if you click and hold, you can choose to go separate window and toggle back in. So depending on the layout of your web page, you might choose one or the other, but I usually find myself like that. All right, moving right along. So the Elements panel has allows you to inspect the DOM tree and styles. So DOM tree here on the left, styles on the right. And my favorite use of this panel is to control what gets printed, say in an email, because wait, nobody prints emails anymore, right? Okay, well I think it's still relevant. Let's do it anyway. Let's get some MDN docs. When you guys want some MDN docs, you usually Google search with an MDN in the front, right? Right? Yeah. Okay, if you don't, try it out. It's pretty cool because it swings your search results towards Mozilla, which is good. So let's say I wanted to print this because we all print MDN documentation and we pin it to our cubicle wall, right? No? What? But let's say I didn't want the contributors part right here across the top. So I can inspect, let's inspect one of these here. And it highlights it down here in the Elements panel. And it's highlighting it up in the body of the web page. We want the whole bar gone, so we need to kind of navigate around until we find the div that holds everything, which is right there. We click it and hit delete, and it's gone. So now when we print, oops, got to get back into the web page to hit Command P, or you hit the sources panel. So now when we print, it's gone. So, well, you might be saying I never print. I was actually demoing how you modify, or at least delete something out of the DOM right from the Elements panel. And of course, you can do other editing in here. Like you could change a tag totally, just double click right on it and change it to a P. Notice it changed the end tag too, but let's not do that. What else? Okay, you can also double click on attributes and change the attribute name and or value, as well as, let's see, let's find some text in the body. Here's our little magnifying glass to go the other direction, is to find where in the DOM tree this text is. So this is a toggle. When you click it, it's on, and then once you select something, it's back off again. So here's the span that represents that text, and now we can pop in. Notice it's in pieces because of some some formatting, but we can pop in and edit the text directly. You can also right-click and choose Edit as HTML, and then you'll get that entire block where you can just freeform the HTML. Anybody use that? Is it in any different ways? Okay. Okay, that's actually a good question too. How many people use that? They modify their DOM, right? And yeah, okay, pretty popular. Okay. So sounds like maybe we should move a little faster because all you guys already do that. You probably noticed the breadcrumb down at the bottom shows you where you are within the DOM tree. And you can click on them to navigate back up. Now on the right side of this elements, so I've kind of failed to mention that this is organized by function action that you might perform across these tabs. So I'll refer to these as the tabs, and we're in the elements tab. And on the right-hand side, we have, I guess I'll call these sub-tabs. So we have a styles over here. They're organized. Let's actually open up this page right here, and let's select our button. And let's get rid of our drawer. We'll talk about the drawer later. So the styles are in order of their specificity, with the most specific at the top. Talking about CSS specificity. And the top block is your inline styles, but none of you have any of those, right? So this is always going to be empty for you, right? Okay, good. So same kind of editing features in here, but a nice little checkbox to turn certain things on and off. You can modify the property and the values directly. Yo.
When you're in a value, you can use the arrow keys and in conjunction with the control key to move the value up and down. So arrow keys by itself, we move it 1 unit. Use some kind of control key to move it 10 units or 10th of a unit.
Sweet, thanks. Okay, and there's autocomplete going on in there too, so that's helpful. Oh, add a new, let's say you wanted a new one. There we go. I just clicked at the end of the width and got a new one, so it's going to autocomplete fairly well. So let's turn that back off. All right, what else in here? On the right-hand side, it tells you the source of the style. So notice that the styling here came out of app CSS, as well as the styling here also came out of the same file, but these are two different styling blocks, so it separated them. If you click on that link, it'll take you to the sources tab, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it'll scroll to the correct block, so help you find your styling. Let's see what else here. All right, styles that are overridden or turned off have a strike through. So you'll notice that in the button styling that we did on this page, we styled the cursor to be a pointer. And down here in the user agent style sheet, they had the cursor set to default, and it was overridden by us, so it's struck through. Forcing state. Okay, if you click this push pin right here, you can force state, so which will help you maintain.
Which push pin?
This one right there, push pin. So you can force hover. Uh-oh, I got my styles all messed up. Let's refresh. We can force hover on that button. It's hard to see, but it's hovering. You see that? See that? That'll let you keep it hovered while you mess with the styles. You don't have to keep throwing your mouse up there to see what the hover effect is. All right, so second sub-tab is computed styles, or computed, and it gives you a visual of the margin, etc., which can be handy. It's of the selected element. And then it also shows you all the computed properties.
Just a point, that diagram right there is, if you heard the box model, that is the box model. So there you go. There's visual representation of the box model. Yeah. So yeah, this is not about CSS, but there's the box model.
Yep. Thanks. Okay, and then down below we have the computed styles down to pixels. So you might have specified things in M's or M's or other things, but it tells you what they've calculated out to. So that can be helpful, possibly. All right, so event listener subtab. So I have an event listener on this add more button, and it's a click listener, so we can drill down and find it. So the naming here is, so this is mine, I happen to know that. The naming here is the element and then the styles, dot concatenated together. That's because I don't have an ID on that sucker. If I had an ID, the name would be button pound ID. So that'll help you find it. And then it gives you a little bit of detail about the event, like it's going to call the handlers to call create add form. And it's defined in my app.js file, so you can go take a look at it. Well, let's do it, even though we haven't covered the sources panel. So there's the function that gets called on that. Let's go back to elements. Okay, so anybody?
How does that work for Angular? The handles in Angular like ng click and things like that.
So that shows you what events are bound to that particular element. But most frameworks or libraries will do event delegation, and so you won't see them show up there. They're probably bound to the body, and then filtered out when they bubble up to the body. Things like ng change or whatever that have to be bound directly to the element, they should show up there.
Okay, I'm going to summarize that for the recording. The question was, what about Angular? Will the event show up in there? And the answer from the glorious Corey was that they're usually with the frameworks, they're not bound to the element specifically, and so they're not going to show up here. Is that a fair summary?
Sure. They typically use event delegation.
Yeah, you usually use event
So,
delegation.
yeah, this will show what handlers are bound directly to that element, not via delegation.
So I wasn't going to cover DOM breakpoints, properties, or scope. Does anybody use those and want to say anything about those? Quite a few things we'll skip as we go along, so I'm open to talking about them. I just don't have any material prepared for them. Yeah.
I use DOM breakpoints a lot.
Do you?
Pretty cool.
Okay. You too?
Do you want to talk about them or just say that I use them?
Whatever you want. You want to talk about them?
Whatever you want.
Talk about them.
DOM breakpoints, if you have like JavaScript that is going to modify part of the DOM, like maybe say text inside the add more button, you can set a breakpoint on the change of the DOM. So if it changes, like say you have some unknown third-party script and you're all like, what's changing my DOM? You can set a breakpoint there and then see what changes.
And so instead of setting a breakpoint on a line of code, you set a breakpoint on the element itself, which you can do if you right-click the button right there in your elements panel.
Oh, no, let's
That's
pass.
real. Like if you have third-party code and you have like old library code and you don't know exactly what's changing that thing on your page, DOM breakpoints are awesome.
Okay, so I don't think the recording picked that up. I'm going to try to summarize that. So you can set DOM breakpoints. They can be quite useful trying to figure out what's changing your DOM. So you can put a breakpoint on the DOM. When it breaks there, you can take a look at what's causing the change, some framework or whatever. Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else? Other things? Yeah.
We talked about Angular a second ago. I don't think there's a plugin called Batarang that will show you things about your Angular scope and stuff. I don't think it picks up unique Angular events. When it shows up, if you install it, it shows up on the far right-hand side past scope and any other weird things these guys installed. But it's kind of helpful if you want to see what's going on with your Angular.
Yeah, DevTools is pretty extensible, and whatever framework you use, there's probably a plugin that will extend the DevTools to incorporate it.
Yeah, for the recording, it was mentioned that Batarang will add a sub-tab here that's helpful with Angular. A bunch of stuff in there. Okay. All right. Network tab is kind of a treasure loaded with lots of stuff. It allows you to record network activity. It's while that tab's open. So while DevTools is open. So if you open DevTools after the page is loaded, you won't have any info in here. So you might reload to get that.
mentioned your scope tab that was on the right. Is that a product of your Angular plugin?
You know, I don't know. Dollar scope. Don't know if that's. I don't know if scope is there natively if it comes from my Angular plugin. Let's see if I've got it in.
It's not part of it.
It's not? Okay. So that might be part of my Angular plugin that I got sitting there. Let's see if my plugin's in Canary as well. Yeah, so it looks like it probably is part of my Angular plugin.
Angular scope.
And I haven't used that, so that could be handy for sure for Angular. All right, so back to our network tab, which I think I'm missing my top section here. There we go. Where's my? Okay. What's that? Oh, Trevor, yeah.
Sorry, just a quick note on, so that Angular scope goes out with the dollar scope. There is a native scope inside of the sources tab, which lets you see how your JavaScript variables are being scoped to whichever breakpoint you're at. Like if you put a breakpoint on line 35, you'll see in the scope when that breakpoint is hit, what variables are defined at that moment and where they're defined and that sort of thing. So there's a native scope as well, but it's totally different.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. All right, so so you take recordings. You can stop recording and keep your network information if you need to hang on to it for a while you look into it, but still navigate on the page. So the bottom section is a list of your activity, and you can filter that down with the bars. Whoa, what happened there? With the bars here. So we're seeing what's between these two bars down in the list down at the bottom. Yo.
You can actually take that recording. If you guys use like Charles Proxy or Wireshark, you can export this network recording as a HAR file and import it in there and do some like really deep analysis. And I think you might actually be able to go the other way too. You can import from those into Chrome and do some Chrome analysis as well. So pretty rad that way.
All right, so the red. Let's see, where are my lines? I don't see my lines. Let's try this again. There we go. So the red line here is the load event marker. So when all the resources have been retrieved, and your blue line, it's a red line. Your blue line is the DOM content loaded event marker, which means the main document is done parsing. So some timing indicators there. So status is kind of interesting, a little bit at least. 304 means not changed. So our browser made a request and said, hey, I have it as of this date. Has it changed? And the server says, nah, hasn't changed, so it didn't send it back. So it saved us a little bit of time there. And then of course 200 is successful. And I thought I put a fail in here. Where is it? Oh, missing JS 404 not found. I put that in there on purpose so we could see it. If you want to force out of, you want to see timing on an initial page load, you've got a couple of ways you can do that. You can refresh the page with a shift modifier, so however you want to refresh, and it will force it to re-retrieve everything as if it was an initial page load. Or you can, of course, use an incognito window, which is a Command-Shift-N on my box. Command-Shift-N.
Fetch it every time also.
Yeah, and there's two ways to disable your cache. I think there's main settings. So here's an incognito window. We could probably spend a lot more time on that, but no cache here, no cookies here. And then disable cache checkbox here would get rid of those 30, whatever they were, 304s. And then I believe in settings here, you can say disable cache when DevTools is open, yet another way. So keep an eye out for cache causing you problems. Like, I mean, you would think that you changed the file, it should have got the updated one, but I found it sometimes doesn't, so watch out for that. And then also, if you're looking at performance, you don't want the false fast positive from caching, so watch out for that. You think your page is all fast and it's not because you got a bunch of 3 or 4s going on. No good. Okay, the initiator column can be useful right here. It'll tell you, sorry about that. It'll tell you what source code caused that resource to be fetched. So if you're not sure where the heck that thing came from, why it got downloaded, you can trace it through that way. So in the case of our app CSS file, it was on our index page, line 6. That's where that got called in. If you click on a single item, you get a details pane, and you have to close that with this X right here. But all you ever wanted to know about fetching that resource, so your request and response headers, status code, the whole 9 yards, plus a preview, and then the response is an unformatted version of the preview, if those happen to differ. What cookies came were on that wire, and then the timing, detailed timing information. The same timing info that's available here in these cute little popsicles, I'll call them. Is there a real name for those? No, they're popsicles now. It's official.
Lightsabers.
Lightsabers? No. Sorry. Oh, okay, that's good. We can go lightsaber. So same detail as there, and same details in the mouse hover. And so let's see. This stalled information, if you want explanation, that's here. The stalled bar here includes proxy negotiation stuff, plus it also includes if you're bumping into your 6 connection limit. So watch for the stick of the popsicle to get long and look into that. What else do you want to share about the network panel?
What do you mean 6 connection limit? What is that?
What? Everybody knows about that, right? No. Okay, so your browser has a limit to the number of connections it can make to a single origin or a single server. And so if you have simultaneously, right? So if you have, say, 20 images that it needs to fetch from your server, it's going to start fetching 6 of them, and it's not going to fetch the 7th until the first one's done. And so you might run into a bottleneck there. But watch out for that, because if you're running locally, you might not have concatenated and minified things down into single files, and so you'll be bumping into that 6 connection limit locally, but you wouldn't be in production, so it might not be an issue.
What can one do to avoid bumping into that bottleneck?
Nothing. You pretty much can't do anything about that. No. Did you have an idea?
I imagine you could, as you mentioned, concatenate files of similar type. You could put static files on a static server like a CDN.
CDN, what's that?
I don't know.
What's a
There could be tools that kind of allow for that out of the box that you could use that generate the project. I don't know.
Huh. That would be nice if we had one of those project generators that had that concatenation built in. That would be pretty cool. Somebody want to work on that? Okay, yeah, we got a hand.
If you see the preserve log checkbox, that will preserve all of the requests, even across redirects. And so if you want to go to something and you're wondering why you're being sent from here to here to here to here, and you want to trace it all back and see why it is that got to location X, then preserve log, and you can go through and watch all of the traffic.
Sweet, that's actually a great comment.
And then, if you're trying to, if you leave preserve log open and you have other things could still be going, like the browser sync, uncheck the red circle, stop recording, so you have a static view of what happened.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to repeat that because that's handy. The preserve log checkbox will keep your network traffic information through redirects. And so if you want to see what's going on all the way through the redirects, you can check that. And you can turn off the red button to stop the recording, so you can take a look at it.
It's particularly enlightening to see how many hoops you have to jump through for single sign-on.
Notice again for me, That's my team. That's why I'm telling you guys.
Right.
I don't know anything about it.
From the single sign-on guys directly. You might use it for that. Just saying, maybe. Yeah.
I noticed on your network account, you don't have tabs at the top like I have, where you can see there's tabs for all requests or just scripts or CSS or font. Maybe you know how to get that out there.
It's a search. It's a search thing. Yeah. So you can filter. Thanks. That's a good point. You can filter down to type.
Default right there, and I just learned that you can hold Command and click on, say, style and images, and it will just show those together.
I didn't know about the command modifier. That's cool. Hold your modifier key to select multiple. Sweet. Besides the text filter, it's good. Yeah.
If I can return to my earlier comment and beat the dead horse a little bit. So I'm sure the single sign-on guys are doing everything they can to minimize the impact of that, but it's, as a developer, there's nothing you can do about that. So that's why tools like this are important for you to find ways to optimize the code you can control. There's always going to be things outside of your control that you can't do, but it's important to make sure that you're delivering the best possible scenario for what you can control. And that's why this today.
Correct. Thank you. All right. So let's look at. Let's go back to. Where am I? Oh, I'm filtered way down, aren't I? Okay, that's what happened. So on our timeline column, if you left-click it, you get your sort options. That's true, isn't it? That's starting to sound wrong. I think it's sort options. Then right-click it, and you can control what columns show up. So you can add more columns like cookies or domain. That's logical, right? Put it as a right-click on a column, one of the column headers. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'll get off that.
Look at all those cookies for a tiny little thing.
You should maybe use a CDN for your static assets and get away from the cookies, huh? Okay. Here's an interesting one right here. Let's see if I got it set up right. Uh-oh. I don't have it. Let's see if I can find it. Hang on. There we go. There's my browser sync connection. So why don't I have a WebSocket frames? Where is it?
Here it is. Level 1. That's one
Four
down.
down from the top.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so you can get details about your WebSockets. Let's see, frames. So headers, that was there before. Frames is different. So you can watch the frames go back and forth across your WebSocket. I think that could probably be pretty handy. So in case anybody missed that, this is here because I have browser sync running. Browser sync is actually serving up my page and watching for changes to my source files. And when it sees a change to the source file, it sends a message to the browser saying, hey, I saw a change in this kind of file. And if it was a CSS file, I think it actually just tells it to reload the CSS directly. But if it was like an HTML change or a JavaScript change, I think it just initiates a full page refresh. So you can actually see those messages go back and forth on there. It's pretty cool. And then let's go back to, let's say for some reason you were having a problem, you weren't getting the data you expected on a certain request. You could right click on that request and say, where is it here? Copy as curl. Actually, let's do it on the CSS here. We're going to copy as curl. Curl's a command line utility to fire off a network request. But if you've ever tried to reproduce a network request, it can be kind of a pain because there's a lot of stuff that goes through, including the cookies and such. So if we paste that curl command, it gives us everything that went on that request. So you'll notice that if we fire that, I'm sure it's going to do that to me. It's going to work great. Sometimes if you fire that, you'll get nothing back because it got a 304. So if you wanted to see that, just add a -v, tell it to be verbose, and see what so this is the body of my CSS showing here, And then you have towards the top, we have the details about the request and the response. And so you'll see the 304, if we got a HTTP 200 going on right here, that you'd see a 304 if that's what you got. And if you wanted to, of course, you could modify the request, including if you remove, some of the cookies will be the ones that say, hey, my cache looks like this. You could remove those headers. Did I say cookies? I meant headers. You could remove those headers, and then you would avoid the 3 or 4 there. So you can manipulate that to your heart's content. All right. Anything else anybody wants to point out before we head over to the sources tab? Yeah.
So just along the same lines, I find it helpful to refire your XHR calls periodically if you need to figure out what's going on in the back end. I think that's only specific to XHR though.
Okay. You like to refire your XHR?
So
Why did
just
you
like
say?
you were curling some of the pings or some of the
Yeah.
browsers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think if you right click on your XHR calls, you can have those
It'll resubmit. Like
Resubmit.
so if I did a form submit or something,
replay.
Oh, you can replay XHR right there. Okay. And why do you do that?
Well, for the back end.
Okay.
if you're testing a back end connection where I'm just trying to get the data, I want the data to resend the data on my back end so I can test something. I made a tweak. I don't want to refresh the whole page and get down to there again and just hit replay.
That's awesome. That's very helpful. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. So if you right click on an XHR network entry, you can hit this replay XHR, and that would be use case. There would be if you're working on your back end and you wanted to see that request come through again. That could be useful there. Sweet, thanks. All right, should we head over to the sources tab? All right, so basic layout here. Well, this is basically, it's called the sources tab, but I kind of like to call it your debug tab. This is where you'll hang out for debugging. But so you got your file structure here on the left, all the files that it pulled in, your editor here in the middle, and then your debugging details here on the right. And down here on the bottom left of your editor are these, what do you call those, curly braces? It's your pretty print button. So if you got something that's minified, that can help. Although if it minified it down to like A and B and C names, but there's a way around. Is there a way around that, Corey?
Well, so source maps
Source
let you
maps.
read, let you look at the origin of your of the source, right? So you can go back and see where things are. But you can't use it quite the same because if you hover over the variable name, it's be like, I don't know what that is. That doesn't exist in memory because now it's called Q. So I actually end up using pretty print the minified stuff even more often than I use source maps because then I can inspect variables. I know my code, so I know that the second parameter in this particular function is of this type or should be of this type. I don't care what it's named, and that helps me a lot. So yeah, pretty print's really good.
Yeah. And then if you're working on your own site and you served it up locally, you probably didn't concatenate and minify your own stuff. So that works out there. Yeah,
Actually, my experience with source maps is just fine with variable stuff.
that's it.
I mean, that's how we do things locally on our project, so that way we can get a closer experience to what we're actually going to have in production. We concatenate, minify, and then we just generate a source map if we're building locally, so that we can debug it. And it works charm. It's pretty nice.
Okay, the comment there was that they actually do concatenate, minify in
Well,
development.
no, the variables. I can still inspect variables and all that other stuff, even though it's been minified and variable names have been changed and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the source maps
I'm
actually
committing-
do work and it
I'm
does
not
still
gonna implement
debug.
the source in the source map though. It's for just simplicity's sake.
Thanks. Yeah.
Wait a second, we're using ECMAScript 6 modules with Babel and Babelify, so our code is super different from the source code in this code, and we can concatenate it, minify and everything. The source maps work great. You can inspect individual modules, and if you have an error in your code, it will jump right to the module line. So yeah, source maps are awesome.
Sweet. Okay. That's a second to source maps working just fine and letting you debug and get data. Okay. Awesome. All right. So to debug, you just click in the gutter and that will set a breakpoint. Let's set one in the create add form. This gets called when I click that button right there. So there I am debugging. So this is your standard debugging stuff. You can resume or step over, step into, step out of, or mute all your breakpoints. And you can, handy features, if you're lucky enough to be generating an exception and that's what you're trying to look into, you can turn this on. It's on right now for me, so that it will breakpoint when it hits an exception.
An uncaught exception.
And this checkbox down here controls whether it will break on a caught exception. You don't typically want that on because there's a lot of exceptions in libraries that are caught on purpose and it's not a problem. So you don't want to break on all those. So typically have that checkbox off when that's on. What else? So let's just resume and turn that off by clicking it. If you right click it, you can remove it or continue to here. So that can help you jump code. That's helpful if you're trying to get past a bunch of stuff. And you can disable it. So over here under breakpoints, you'll have a list of all your breakpoints, and you can leave it there because let's say you still need it. You don't want to try to find it again, but you need it to be off for a little while. You can just check it and it stays, but it's off, and it goes a little bit lighter blue over here. I'm going to turn it off. Actually, let's get back in there. There was more stuff. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Let's debug through this right here. So as we step through, you'll notice that it's putting stuff over here in the gutter, in the right gutter. I think, maybe somebody can correct me on this, I think it's taking the left side of the statement and printing out its value. And then you can also hover over each individual item and get details. So it's pretty full-fledged here. And then you can also add watches. So I think you right-click. Where is it?
You can also, if one of those items is set to an object, it will probably give you like some of the details of the object and then dot, dot, dot. If you go to the console and type in the name of the object and hit enter, it will give you something that you can drill down through and look at all the properties.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that. You can use this in common. I'm going to just repeat. You can use it in combination with the console. Just type the object name if it's an object. All the object details aren't going to show up in that hover. So if you type it in the console, it'll expand it out and let you look at it. Yeah.
Another way to put it is that the console reflects the current execution state of your application. So at any time, if you pause the application, you go into the console, you can interact with that environment at that current state.
Okay. So it's the state as if you were right in that breakpoint,
Yeah.
even in the console.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see, what else should we cover about debugging? We're running really low on time if we want to get to our memory leak. Let's see what we're going to do about that. Watches. Should we do? Oh, along here on the right. So your list of watches. I thought you right-click to get a watch. How do you get a watch? Oh, there it is. Add to
You were
watch.
right-clicking on the function, or you can't watch a function.
Okay. Thank you. Can't watch a function. What was that?
Double click in there and type one, type of name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, double-click in here.
There
There you go. Okay, we're gonna watch a list. Okay, sweet. Okay, what else? So we got our call stack here. We've got.
Conditional breakpoints.
Ooh, I haven't even used
Right
those.
click the breakpoint.
Okay,
On
breakpoints
the
right
left.
here.
Maybe the right. You go on the left here. Right click it.
Edit.
Edit breakpoint. You can give it a condition so that it'll only
So-
break if it meets that condition.
Sweet. I didn't know about that here. So conditional. Put the expression that'll cause it to break here. What's that? Helpful in loops? Oh yeah, looping a whole bunch of times and you only want to hit the certain one.
Index billion.
Sweet.
You don't just keep pushing play.
Yeah. I don't fucking imagine.
Somebody automate that with a clicker. Okay. All right. What else? Oh, you got your DOM breakpoints. XHR. Has anybody used XHR breakpoints? Yeah. Once. Okay.
How do they work?
I don't know. Good question. I've never used them. So that'll be part 2 of DevTools, I guess. Event listener breakpoints. Yeah.
Do those watches you created just pause when those items have been changed?
They change as they change.
They're dynamic.
Yeah, no, you have to stop at a given time, but there's just kind of a bookmark. What's the value of this time? And if it's fallen out of scope, it says not available.
So that you don't have to hover over things all the time to get the values. It's really, right? Okay. Let's let this rip. I don't think there's anything else to cover there. So let's talk about the drawer. So this button right here is the drawer, which the main thing here is the console, so that you can use the console at the same time as you're using other things. So we got a console up here, but what if we want to use the console while we're looking at the Elements tab? So now we have the drawer. And besides the drawer, we got a search. So we were back in sources. And this search will search through all your sources. So plus button. So that's in my index and in my app.js. And then emulation. Should we talk about emulation? Yeah, let's talk about emulation. So if you want to pretend like you're an iPad or any one of those other devices, or even tweak out the resolution, screen resolution manually, you can. You can tell it to fit so that you can see everything. You can tell it, well, I want to emulate an iPad, but don't worry about the screen resolution. And you can tell it what the pixel ratio is, so our high DPI screens, you can manipulate that. And then the user agent string is set according to what device you selected. And then you can manipulate that as well. And you can throttle your network to a certain speed. What I haven't seen is inserting a certain percentage of packet loss. I kind of wish they'd add that. That'd be pretty sweet, because that'd be good for testing. And then some details down here in the drawer. I don't know why this doesn't have its own tab. It's kind of partly in the drawer and partly up in the body of the page, but such it is. Somebody thought it was a good idea. So you can choose your device down here as well. It's kind of redundant. This is all redundant to the settings up above. However, some more options. Let's go to sensors. So you can emulate your sensors as well. So your touch screen, your geolocation, your accelerometer. So that could be handy. Anybody have any amazing success stories they want to share about using the device emulation?
I guess that was pretty handy using the media. You can actually view the print version of your website.
Yeah, use the media section to emulate print. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I can't tell you how many sites I've wanted to save a PDF copy or something, and it's just crap. I saw another hand besides Corey's. Yeah.
The network part's pretty cool as far as testing how it'll do on mobile or bandwidth. So you can limit your speed, connection speed, see how usable your application or whatever is when on mobile or a train.
Yeah. So that was a comment in favor of the network throttling. That's useful. Sweet. Okay.
It seems to me that if you wanted to be a really good developer, that you might consider working in, say, mobile first with a low network connection. That might, I don't know, does anyone have experience doing that could speak to it?
Somebody started off in mobile first using this?
Yeah, I work that way. I work with the emulator turned on and with the throttling turned on pretty much all the time, and it helps a lot to make sure you're building for mobile and you're building for slower connections.
Huh.
It's great. Sorry.
Okay. That comment was that he uses this emulation by default so that he does mobile first more effectively. Did I see another hand? Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I do love this feature for styling and the throttling is good and whatnot. But the when it comes to like how things are actually going to happen, the best way is to try and debug on a device.
Get a
itself,
device.
Or maybe that device's specific emulator, like the Android emulators or an iOS emulator or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to add to that,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is on iPhone, I'm sorry, but on Android you can set your Chrome browser into debug mode, connect it to a USB cable, and there's some command I know it's where you connect to a specific device you have prepared, and you can use all of these same tools on the device, and as you highlight something on the DOM, it highlights on the screen on iTunes.
Yeah, that was a comment about pairing your device, like USB cable pairing it, and then you use Chrome on both your device and you link them together.
All the same Chrome DevTools work for the same exact. They do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's
you can
very
control it
device
remotely.
specific because then it's not what their assumption about such and such Android or such and such iPhone screen is.
You can do that in iOS, although you are stuck with using Safari's DevTools, which are horrible.
So you might as well not.
You might as well not use Safari. Wait, so maybe this is a good time to put in a plug for our device library. We have a handful of devices that you can come to our aisle and sit down and use. And we got quite a selection. We don't have everything, but we've got a dozen different devices or so. And they don't get used very much. Maybe give us some warning and get the battery charged or something, because they just sit there most of the time. I think I have 3 hands in the queue. So why don't you go first?
Quick question: how do you zoom when you're like? I know like on the iOS emulator, you put like control or something, and then you can drag the zoom. But how do you zoom on that?
You hover over the.
Oh yeah.
Hover over. There's a plus and minus. You have to refresh.
Over here?
Your user agent spoofing isn't working right now, so refresh. Got a little alert because you might need to reload the page.
Yeah.
And now if you hover over the viewport, there's a little toggle that comes up. Like
Where is it?
In the viewport where like you have some stuff, just click in there.
Oh, some stuff. Okay. Click.
Normally there's a little toggle that has a 1.0 that you.
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, right.
This thing right here.
That's where you can zoom in and out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and I'm scaled, so it's not letting. Let's get out of here. Oh, I'm not fit, but I am emulating screen size. No, that's not working. Okay. This actually was working, so I'm not sure why it's not letting me know.
See, and on a device, if you're doing it on an actual device, you can just hold it closer to your face.
Yeah, I don't know why this is plus and minus aren't working, but it should. Okay, and that was actually really funny. I'm going to repeat that. Just hold the device closer to your face. Okay. All right, what else?
I had a quick question.
Yo.
I don't expect like a full answer to this, but I've done what was mentioned before with connecting to your Android device and then doing the debug on a local. Because you can debug your locally running stuff that's running on your machine on the Android device, and it's pretty awesome. But I can't. It doesn't work because my emulator gets in the way. Is there a workaround to that? Anybody know?
I don't know.
Something to think about.
Because it wants to hit emulator at localhost, but it doesn't exist at localhost on the machine. I've tried a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't know.
I tried that.
Okay.
What's the source of documentation or on the books or look to get the overall features?
Chrome DevTools?
I know it's counter to the development protocol, but it's something up. You need to find it. Oh, no, it's
So the sources I've used are Google has one, a walkthrough, and the first page is super high level, but if you at the end of each section there's links to go to dive into more detail onto every part of the DevTools. There's also a free walkthrough on Code School, and there was a half a dozen, maybe dozens of other walkthroughs available.
Yeah.
New features that come out so quickly. Just go out to the Google Help forums and hey, how do you do this? What's this tab for?
Yeah,
That's the challenge, that the tool actually evolves so quickly that you have to pay close attention to how old the the big ones.
In fact, Google's own walkthroughs don't match the current version or the Canary version. So I think the docs are behind either of those. So the Canary version of Chrome has different tools than the release version of Chrome as well. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I just pasted a link into the front end channel. In,
Okay.
Slack, just for some guy whose name is Umar. He just has a thing where you can subscribe to this little animated GIF. This is how you do this little particular thing. This is how you do it.
Okay, I know that there's 2 billion.
Sweet.
That's what I-
Thanks.
So it's in the front end channel.
All right, so we're out of time. Does anybody, should I give them 30-second memory leak or
No, let's.
we'll save it?
We want to
next time.
Yeah, we want to do a part 2. We'll go deeper, use the profiler and some really cool
Yeah.
stuff.
All right.
A whole thing by itself.
Yeah, so we didn't cover the timeline tab, we didn't cover the console tab, we didn't cover the profiles tab. There's a ton of stuff, so there will be a part 2. So we'll call that good for today, unless anybody has anything else they wanted to add or ask. Okay. All right, thanks.
Totally claiming that lightsabers. Okay, so
Patent pending.
when that becomes